Okay, so last time we created an armature and bound it to our mesh using automatic weights. And we found that when we move our model, it deforms in ways that we don't want. We see it clipping through the eyeball when I move the leg. So we're going to talk about how to fix that. And we fix that using a feature called weight painting, which is to say we can paint on the surface of our model in much the same way that we paint textures, how much each bone affects each vertex. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So if I have my armature selected and then I hold Shift and click my mesh that I want to work on, I can then go in here into weight paint. So again, that was, I click on my armature to select it, then I hold Shift and click on my mesh in order to select them both, with the mesh selected last with it this lighter orange color. So go ahead and go into weight paint mode. And you can see this looks way different. So I can shift click on different bones. Oh no. In order to reveal what parts of the mesh they're affecting. So if I shift and click, so I can see that just by my random clicking, I accidentally caused this to happen. And if I press the R key to rotate, I can see how this bone is affecting the mesh right away. So I mentioned this is a lot like texture painting. So the way to do this is I have my brush tool up here. I also have blur, average, and other things as well, which will be pretty useful. And then when I have a tool selected over here, if you don't have it up by default, it's in these list of tabs, this one for your tools right here. I can change the settings of each tool here. So I'll want to change the weight of this down to 0 to get rid of these blotches, and strength of 100, and I'll just go ahead and erase that. I'll hold Shift, click there. All right, I have to kind of click around to deselect the previous bone. So you can see I can rotate this and see how it's affecting things, and then I can just zero out with the weight set to 0 the parts of the mesh that I don't want it to affect at all. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And you do want a soft edge, so I'm going to have to come back and sort of blur the edge of where this leg meets the rest of the body. And it's a good idea as you're doing this to just rotate it and see what's moving, because even subtle changes can affect things quite a lot. Okay. Oops. It's looking better. Have some movement in the back here. Okay. I might even want to take a little more off here. Just soften this down. And this is really an art to make this look good. So don't feel bad if it's a little bit janky on your first try. And so now I'm using the blur tool to soften this edge. If I don't have a nice soft edge, when I move it, I'll get harsh, weird edges poking out as I move my mesh around. Oh, it looks like I have some faces on the inside here as well. So that can happen sometimes, and it can be pretty tricky to deal with depending on what's going on. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to try going Alt-B for this kind of weird box tool. So that was Alt-B. And if I click and drag, it cuts away part of my view so I can look inside. And I can, let's see, is it like, oh, I can erase all of this color on the inside of the eye here. And really, I could go back and just delete this mesh because it's not something I ever want to be able to see. So that Yeah, that Alt-B thing is really useful for cases when you need to get inside a mesh, see some kind of cutaway view of it, and so on. And I only did half of it, so I want to go make sure I go back and have a look in here. I can see there's some color happening there as well. Okay, so that leg is probably good to go. Let's just wiggle it and make sure. Looks okay. I see it affecting this horn a little tiny bit, so I'll just knock that out. This eye a little tiny bit. So you can see this can be quite a chore to do well. And then, yeah, that's not so good. Can erase, 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 erase. And then, there we go. Oh, yeah. So I really don't want this leg going, intruding very much into the body at all. Just switching to the blur tool. Okay. So if I wiggle that around, looks okay. Not perfect, but it's good enough. So I'll deselect that bone and make sure this bone's selected. And now I got to do the same thing to this bone as well. There's no way to mirror this, unfortunately. I just have to kind of work with it. So again, my weight is set to 0, strength is set to 1, and I'll just go ahead and quickly try to knock out some of this color. Okay, there we go. I wiggle this around, still got a little bit on the horn. Yeah, so the automatic weight paint tries its best, but of course, you know, it's a computer. It doesn't really understand what you're asking it for in the first place. I could reduce the strength if I wanted to kind of feather this down a little bit. I also could change, well, no, I'll just leave it. Okay, so yeah, I want to still get inside that eyeball area, so I'll do this. Just to make sure I don't accidentally color in any of that stuff, I'll try to be careful about where I'm selecting here. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, this is okay. Is it? All right, I'll increase the strength to 1 and just go to town on it. I'm going to try it from this angle so I can get that cross-section view. And I could even just hide my eyeball. So I'll find it in here, turn it off. That helps me kind of see what's going on a little better, depending on what I'm trying to do. Still got a little bit there. Okay. Oop. Okay. We'll try on the other side as well. And should be, oh, got a little bit. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the legs are okay. Let's see, if I move this, it looks okay. So I think this character is basically good to go as far as weight painting is concerned. We could clean it up even more, but I think we can just let it slide. All right.